Welcome to Buzz on Veterans, brought to you by Operation Barnabas. I'm Chris Budihas, your host. What we're trying to do today is essentially in our segments, spotlight veterans in our community, what they did in the service and what they're doing now. I'm glad to be joined here by Hal Horton. So Hal, nice to meet you.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, so you got an interesting story, so we're going to kind of dig into it. You were probably one of millions of veterans in this interesting predicament where you served years ago and now you're getting ready to try to go back through the VA disability process. You found Operation Barnabas. But first question I'm going to ask you is, where are you from? What you do in the military? And what were you doing in your post-military career?
I'm a local. I'm a native. I'm born and raised right here. I was born in St. Vincent's Hospital right up the street.
Yep.
And grew up in Green Cove Springs. Air Force. I was 811XO, security police,
Yep.
security specialist side. And I did that for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I just sold on E4, and they had rollbacks. They said, hey, we got too many people in the E4 and E5.
Yeah.
Do you want an early out? Like, oh, please, yes. Signed up, came back home.
And where were you stationed at?
Off at Air Force Base,
Okay.
right outside Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska. Florida boy up in Nebraska.
Ooh,
Yeah.
The war-torn lands of Nebraska.
Yep.
And I came back home, went to the police academy, went to work at the sheriff's department. Then I switched over to corrections, went to the DOC, went to work out at the prison.
Yeah.
And after a few years of just horrible prison life,
Yeah.
went back to college, got a couple more degrees.
Okay.
Became a systems engineer.
Okay.
Went to work in Afghanistan as a satellite engineer, working mostly on Marine camps.
Okay.
And when I
Down
came
in
back
Helmand
home,
province, I imagine?
all around,
Antarctica.
the south, down in Helmand.
Yeah.
And it was nice and peaceful.
Yeah.
And I found out the Taliban honestly fears U.S. Marines.
Yeah.
When I'd go on any other camps, there were constant rocket attacks, sniper attacks.
Yeah.
Marine camps, nothing.
Yeah.
And I asked local Afghans, oh yeah, Taliban's scared to death of U.S. Marines.
It's good branding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
good to know. I came back home, went back to the DOC as a systems analyst. Started at Lottie Correctional, then went over to Circuit 4 PMP, Probation and Parole, here in Clay, Duval, and Nassau counties. And then took an early retirement in 2020.
Yeah, yeah. And so now let's talk about your journey. So you got discharged in 1988.
Correct.
Out of the Air Force, and now you're going through the process of petitioning for your VA disability. How's that process been? And do you got any advice for those who are in service now as they kind of negotiate through this? They always say, it's transparent process until you personally go through it and you're like, wow, there's so many things I didn't know.
Put it this way, I'm an IT guy. I'm an expert in computers and computer systems, and I couldn't even figure out how to process through all the online stuff.
Yeah.
I was lost. So if I'm having struggles with it, everybody's going to struggle. Find, like Operation Barnabas was really good at pointing me in the direction of people that could help me and get all the paperwork done. That was the biggest thing, just getting through the paperwork process.
Yeah.
What to file, where to file it, which forms need to be filled out when, that sort of thing. It's a real red tape nightmare.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier off camera, the fact that when you were growing up, being in the military, and to some extent it's still like this, like whenever you got hurt or you're injured, either self-pride or, you're told by your non-commissioned officer, put a little dirt on it and drive on. So a lot of times we just didn't go to sick call or go to the hospital to be seen for a variety of injuries. And then later on, you go to the VA and you're trying to petition for some form of disability. Because we know that a lot of these injuries, if you don't fully heal, they just kind of get worse over time. How was your experience with that?
Oh yeah, the one time, well, twice I went to the base hospital.
Yeah.
Once was a call out for the flu so I could get the night off work, and
Yeah.
they basically said, yeah, never ever come here again unless it's something serious. Then one time I fell out from dehydration and I was taken to the hospital and then pumped full of saline. You're back on your feet, good, get back to work. That was my only real experience. Other than that, it's hey, ibuprofen, it's your best friend.
So with is for the folks that are currently in transition or will transition in the future from the military, what's your advice as they eventually will potentially submit some form of VA disability? What do they need to do in order to set themselves up for success?
Make sure anything and everything that's ever happened to you is well documented.
Okay.
I'd come out the end of a work week, I could barely walk. My hips and all were so bad from carrying all that gear, walking around. And you get 30 pounds of gear walking on an aircraft all night. Back then we didn't have web gear, it's just hanging on your hips.
Yeah.
And now my hips and lower back are all tore up. But never went to the base hospital, nothing's documented.
Yeah.
So that's one, make sure there's good documentation on any kind of injuries or any issues you have. And two, once you get out, before you get out,
Yeah.
wherever you're going to move to, get with a good local VA sort of people that can help, like
the veteran
Operation
service
Barnabas
officers,
here
yeah.
in the Jacksonville area,
Yeah.
or if you're Topeka or wherever you're going to move to,
Right.
look in that local area and find someone that can help with veterans.
That's huge. It's funny. So, this is broadcast nationally, and I've always been told, find a good veteran service officer. And then for those that didn't see it last week, we had Rich Carey in here. He's the manager for veteran service officers over there in Clay County, and he said the same thing. You got to make sure you document stuff, and then you got to find the right person and make sure there's a match, like, hey, this person cares about my, what I'm doing and what I'm going through. And then they're educating you through the process. And if you feel uncomfortable, then find another veteran service officer. And the other thing that was mentioned by other friends of mine, hey, if your VSOs ask for money, that's not a VSO. So that's one of those tricks out there to stay away from.
I tried one of those, did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But luckily they took money on the backside of whatever benefits they got you, and since they never did anything, I never had to worry about that.
So with Operation Barnabas, 2 thumbs up?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Today's episode is brought to you by Operation Barnabas over in Clay County, helping veterans get back on their feet and where they want to be in society. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you at the next episode.
Operation Barnabas is a veterans ministry, started in 2017 with the purpose of helping our veterans that kind of got left behind, and they've struggled with addictions, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, those kind of things, helping them get whole again through one-to-one mentorship.
Being able to communicate with them and help them can drastically change their life, can drastically change a family's life. The little that we can do is put our hand out and say, hey, do you want a hand up?